Street Journal this morning reporting Dow Chemical and DuPont are in advanced talks to merge. Sources telling the Journal that a merger could be announced within days, and a deal would result in a three-way split of the combined company. At this moment, each company has a market cap of about $60 billion. Together, they would combine for $90 billion in sales. Bob Nardelli here. You spent so many years at GE, Bob, as a leader there. You know this industry so well.
Yes.
Is it largely the collapse in commodities that is bringing these two together, or is it activist investors? Probably a little of both.
Yeah, I think, first of all, you have two titans there. I have tremendous respect. They're both dear friends, Ed Breen and Andrew Liveris. I think both of them have stood tall. Of course, Ed's only been in the saddle now a couple of months at DuPont. But I think this is a brilliant consolidation. We talked earlier that the lack of GDP growth are now forcing corporations to do mega acquisitions.
If you can't find growth, you got to buy it.
Mega stock buybacks. So they're buying revenue, they're buying earnings during a lackluster year of low and slow growth, I think, right? So as the Wall Street Journal has mentioned, I think this is a very efficient tax consolidation, and then they will consolidate. They both have ag, they both have specialty. They'll put the sum of those two together and spin them back out again and be much more successful, much more innovative, much more focused than they've been.
Why? Why do they become much more focused and innovative by splitting, by getting together and then splitting into pieces?
Well, it's very tax efficient to do what they're doing on a merger, and then they'll bring the ag together.
Agriculture
together. They'll bring the special chemicals together. So now they'll have tremendous focus. There'll be a smaller, more focused business going forward. I think they'll spin those out, Keith, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has basically been what Nelson Peltz's plan was all along. It was a high-profile situation. DuPont's people were saying, well, he's going to lose the proxy, and effectively, but he won the war here.
Yeah.
The more important question to me is, like, having your experience at the helm, you look at a stock like this. It went from 72 to 47, in October.
Wow.
Does the board automatically react to that and say, you know what? We don't want to agree with Peltz, but we'll do something else anyway?
Yeah.
Because now the stock's back at 72.
Well, listen, this may be a little controversial statement, but I think what's happening today in boards is they're losing a little bit of the spine. You know, when they see this kind of fluctuation in the stock price, they immediately see that it's easier to throw the CEO under the bus and to retain their position than to take on the fight. So I think boards, they love these CEOs when the stock's up, and they turn on them pretty quickly. Yeah,
this one really turned. I mean, if people pulled up a chart of that, it looks like an absolute V. I mean, it went 72, 45, 72.
You said it. Ellen won the war, right? Won the battle, but lost in the end, because Nelson had Ed in there. And I just think boards need to stand tall and support the people they've been supporting. They approve the budget, they approve the strategic vision, and then all of a sudden they flip on these CEOs.
Yeah, but
disappointing.
There seems to be so many really negative implications of this collapse in commodities. I mean, whether it's the chemical part of the business or oil. Look at Anglo American today, saying that they're going to cut 85,000 jobs over the next couple of years. This industrial side of the economy, do you think it's in recession?
You and I have said that for a long time.
Exactly.
I do agree, that there are tremendous clouds on the horizon.
So does that lead to an out-and-out recession in 16 or 17?
I think we have to be very vigilant about this. You had a guest on earlier talking about currency, and you would think with a strong dollar, people would be buying a lot of opportunities in Europe, of course, Keith, right?
Are they?
No, because of regulation, because of a soft economy. The prices are right, but getting into it, work rules and regulations. You look at what GE went through with their Alstom deal. You look at what the government just did, right, with Staples. Jeff had to pull away on the Electrolux deal with
Jeff Immelt,
Yeah. So the amount of uncertainty and fluctuation out there. You spend a year on an integration, and then the rug gets pulled out. Very discerning.
Really quick, Bob, talk about the integration of these two companies. How difficult is this going to be to put them together and then separate them?
It's a great question. Acquisition integration has to be a core competency, and if it is, then it's a huge competitive advantage.
Right.
We did 50 acquisitions in 18 months.
Wow, you did 50 deals
in 18 months. We took from 0 to $8 billion, for example. We created Home Depot Supply. You have to have an intensity about acquisition integration on talent, commonality of suppliers. Look at the customer, market focus, customer centric. I mean, we have a playbook that we've developed over the years that we use. So it's not, a lot of people think when the deal's closed, we're done. That's when the work starts. That's when the work really starts.
All right,
That's
we'll
going to be
leave it
interesting.